Alright, so let's talk about the camera. So this is what we had from yesterday. The cube, and we can increase the speed and it would start rotating and stuff. And we got the FPS over here. Now, what is the camera? Now the camera is where the point at which your game will render from the camera's point of view. Now, the camera itself is a game object as well. So whatever you can do with a game object, like each game object will have a transform. See, main camera has a transform, the light has a transform, the cube has a transform. So whatever you can do with the cube at this point, like we're only messing with the transform, so you can do it. You can do the same thing with the camera. Now, the script that we have written yesterday, this script will work on any game object because we're only dealing with the transform. Now each game object has transforms, so we can just take that script and attach it to the camera. Now if I before that, if I play this is what we got, right? But now I can take that script and attach it to the camera. Now check out what will happen. The camera rotates, okay, and I can increase the speed, and it would rotate. Look, okay. So this is a point to note that the camera is a game object as well. Now I'm gonna remove this. This is how you remove components, by the way, removing scripts from like objects. Okay, now let's talk about the camera. So the camera has these properties: clear flags, background, culling mask, and stuff. So what is clear flags? Well, the clear flag is like, look at like there's a sky in the background, right? Now what if we don't want a sky in the background, but we want it to be a solid color? Like in some games you can see that when you're inside, like inside objects or something, like when you when it's a bug and you go inside the wall or something, it's completely black. So we can do that over here as well. Instead of rendering the sky, we can render it as black. Now how do we do that? Instead of skybox, change it to solid color. Look, you can see it change, right? And you can change the color over here. Now it's black. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the skybox. Now, culling mask. If like there are times where you don't want one camera to render all objects, you want different cameras to render different objects. For example, is like when you have a camera inside a room, you don't want anything outside the room to be rendered. So what you can do is you can put the object like the cube over here. I'm gonna set the layer to, let's say, UI, right? And then I go to main camera, and the culling mask is everything except for UI. Now my cube is gone. So this is like, it's not, it's very rare that I use this actually, but there are times which I actually like really need to use it. So yeah, let's go to default. Yeah, what's next? Projection. Now this is a very important one. So projection is perspective or orthographic. Perspective is used for 3D games. Now let me show you this. Game object, 3D object, cube. Cube goes there, goes down. And I'm gonna make this big. I'm gonna make this big. So now look at this. So there's a ground, right? Well, it's really hard to see because everything is white, but we'll get into materials after this. So first off, Yeah, so there's a thing there. Let me get the cube. This cube go on top. Okay, so now you can see everything is in 3D, right? Now if I take this cube and I just copy paste and just move it on the side, move it to the front, you can see the 3D-ness of everything, right? Now if I change the camera to be orthographic instead of perspective, look at what will happen. Okay, check this out. Orthographic is used for 2D games. Perspective is used for 3D games. So now, if I change this to orthographic, everything would be 2D, right? Although they're like in separate like z-axes, one is further in front than the other, but everything looks 2D here, right? Now if I change it back, perspective. Okay, so perspective is used for 3D games and orthographic is used for 2D games. Okay, now clipping planes, well, this is a little bit advanced, but for now you don't need to like know anything about it. Depth as well, it's a little advanced. Rendering target texture. Target texture is used to render to an off-screen buffer, but that's used for like different effects and stuff. But we don't need to use it now. And then MSAA is anti-aliasing. You can search up anti-aliasing. HDR, occlusion culling. So yeah, the most important one is projection, culling mask, and clear flags. Those are the most important ones for now. Okay. Okay, now that the camera is done, we can talk about materials. Now, what are materials? Now, you see that the cubes that we have are all white, right? Now, in games, that's not really useful. Well, maybe sometimes, but we want them to be of a different color. Okay, so now to do that, you need to make a material. Okay, Unity already like applies a default material on these objects when you make them. If I click on cube, you can see that there is a default material here. In the inspector window, there is a default material. So now, that is Unity's default, right? And it's just this gray white thing, whatever. So we want them to be of a different color. How do we do that? We make a material. Right click, create material. Okay, let's name this cube mat 1. Okay, because I have like 2 cubes. So we'll change this to like whatever, red. And now look, check this out. If I go to this cube, by the way, you can focus on an object by just double clicking on it, and you would focus on it. Take this material and just drag and drop it to the cube. That's it. And your cube would have a red. Look. Okay. Now if we want another cube to be of a different color, make another material. Create material. Okay. Cube mat 2. Okay. Change this to like blue. And just drag it and drop it onto the other cube. And you would have 2 cubes with 2 different colors. Now same thing for the ground. Let's make the ground like gray, brown or something. Create material. Ground mat. Okay. Go here, go to like over there, something like that, brown. That's pretty cool, right? We got some basic thing going here. So yeah, and now look, the cube is a game object. This cube is also a game object. This cube is also a game object. The camera is a game object. Now look at this. Like we were rotating the cube, right, yesterday. Let's change the speed now. Let's change the speed to like 20. Now if I play this, the red cube rotates, right? We want the blue cube to rotate as well. So now we take the blue cube, which is cube 2, and then we take this script. Oh, it already has it on it because I copied and pasted, yeah. So I'll change this to like 50. So the blue one will rotate faster than the red one. Like that, see? It rotates much faster. It did like 3 rotations where this one just did 1. And yeah, you can even rotate the light if you want, because light is also a game object, right? So we'll take the directional light and we'll apply add component cube rotate script, and we'll change this to like say 60. Now if we play this, the light would rotate. Look at the shadow rotating, see? How cool is that? Right? So next time, we'll make a simple game. Something like tic-tac-toe or snake. Right, see you. Peace.